Mu Tingying withdrew from marriage and made a 3-year promise. At the lowest point of Feng Yao, she accidentally rescued a beautiful ancestor. After apprenticeship, he embarked on the path of enlightenment, awakened the universal system, and the path of cultivation was unobstructed. In a 3-year agreement, it was unexpected that Mu Shi would not uphold martial ethics and vowed to kill Feng Yao and deploy a super-level mage. The beautiful master possessed a body and fought against Mupangshan. Unexpectedly, she was coveted by an 8-winged angel who took her soul and ascended to the holy city. At the moment of her defeat, a mysterious force awakened from within Feng Yao's body. Keywords of the novel. Full-time mage. No pop-ups since Mu Tingying's divorce. Full-time mage. From Mu Tingying's divorce. Download the complete text. Full-time mage. From Mu Tingying's divorce. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1, 3 years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1, 3 years, it's a fire system. Undoubtedly, he is the son of the next head of the family, and his magical talent is even better than his father. He is only 10 years old now, and apart from anything else, he has awakened himself and will definitely have a forbidden curse in the future. My son Feng Yao has the posture of a forbidden curse. 3 years later, a 13-year-old mid-level. My son is really a genius. He has rewritten a milestone in the history of magic cultivation. One day, Feng Yao became unconscious while practicing what's going on. The young master deluded to merge the magic of thunder and fire. Magic law, tell me quickly what's going on. The spiritual world was penetrated by 2 magic spells, turning both spells into death spells. What? Hey, he can't set foot on the path of a wizard anymore. I don't have him, this despicable son. I don't even understand the most basic common sense of magic, it's really ruining the reputation of my Feng family. 3 years later in the imperial capital, in the Feng family conference room, the Feng family's industry is being suppressed by various forces, and it's getting worse day by day. In this case, we all have to drink the wind from the west. The frail middle-aged man said with a worried expression. I invited everyone here today to discuss this matter, said the Feng family, who was sitting at the top, with a long sigh. We are all descendants of the Feng family, and no matter what, we cannot let the Feng family be expelled from the imperial capital. A slightly elderly voice came to everyone's ears. Since the death of the previous clan leader, there have been no more powerful members of the Wind clan, who have been cursed. It may be difficult for us alone to establish our current position in the imperial capital. By the way, I remember Feng Yao and now the Mu clan have another marriage, right? Mu Shi. That was the engagement made by the old clan leader himself and the Mu clan leader back then, but the current head of the Feng clan, Feng Xiong, who sat at the top, hesitated and said, it's been 16 years now. Will they still buy it? As long as there is a marriage certificate, how can the other party not buy it? But Feng Xiong was about to say something when he was interrupted by one sentence. Anyway, Feng Yao is also your son. He gave up his small family for everyone, and now the Mu family is a first-class aristocratic family in the imperial capital. Yeah. As long as we get married, the Mu family will definitely help us, the Feng family. After a moment of silence, Feng Xiong made a decision. Okay, I'll talk to Yao Heir and go to Mupangshan to propose marriage as soon as possible. Pa. A round of applause came, and everyone agreed to this foolproof solution. The back mountain of the Feng family is filled with lush bamboo forests, which can be considered a beautiful sight from a distance. Feng Xiong walked into the lush bamboo forest and saw a young man lying on a carefree chair swaying back and forth outside a bamboo hut. Click. The sound of the bamboo door popping open caught the boy's attention. After seeing the person coming, the young man sat up and adjusted his attitude slightly, watching Feng Xiong walk over. Why did you come? The young man said without any emotion. Xiaoyao, I know you're still hating me for that matter. I play the role of a clan leader in the family, and there's really no way to compromise, said Feng Xiong with a worried expression. If you have farts, let them go. Feng Yao gave him a pale expression. Are you also approaching the age of marriage? Would you like to hear my father's opinion? Feng Xiong said with a bitter smile. Feng Yao remained silent for a long time. Then Feng Yao's cold voice sounded, have you forgotten even how old I am this year? He is only 16 years old this year. Are you talking to him about marriage now? He didn't recognize this father as early as 3 years ago, but now he's becoming this good person again. What's his intention? Feng Xiong, paused for a moment before saying, your mother passed away early and I haven't been able to take care of you in these years. It was my negligence. I'm doing this for my family. Can you give Dad another chance? Feng Yao snorted coldly, do you also know that my mother passed away early? Then he paused for a moment and whispered in an increasingly cold tone, you should also be aware that my mother helped you secure your position now. Be your clan leader and don't bother me again. At this moment, Feng Xiong fell silent, feeling guilty and unsure of what to say. The marriage was arranged by your grandfather, it was the little princess of the Mu family, Mu Tingying. Think it over for yourself, and once you understand, come find me. Feng Xiong saw that the discussion was not feasible, so he put down his words and turned to leave. Mu Tingying. A very familiar name, Feng Yao murmured as he saw Feng Xiong leave, lying on the carefree chair. He is a traveler who traveled to this magical world 16 years ago. But this is definitely not the world he would aspire to. Besides the demons that devour people everywhere, there is also a heart as deep as a black pond. At the age of 10, Feng Yao awakened himself to magic. Born into a wealthy family in the imperial capital, he quickly felt what it meant to be surrounded by stars and the moon, attracting widespread attention. He spent 3 years successfully breaking through to become a mid-level mage, which gave Feng Yao, who was already a genius, the title of a magical demon. But the journey is not so smooth. As a traveler, how could you not know the new mystery of integrating magic and magic? The mid-level will awaken a second magic series, so Feng Yao began to study fusion magic, and for a moment, the entire family began to boil, laughing that he had no magic knowledge and was a lunatic. Until a year later, he became a true, genius lunatic. In the Fengshi family driven by desire, Feng Yao delved deeper into the study of fusion magic, only to encounter unexpected results. A magical fusion resulted in both of Wind Yao's spells becoming death forms, leading to a drop of 10,000 zhang in cultivation. From then on, he fell into the abyss, the kind that could never be undone. The family gradually became indifferent to him, thinking that he could never become a wizard again. Even his father, whom he once relied on, abandoned him due to family public opinion, calling him a madman. If it weren't for his past life as a person, perhaps he would have truly become a madman now. After going crazy for a few months, he quickly untied his knot and his personality became particularly solitary, so he came to the back mountain of the Feng family. 2 years have passed, and this is the first time Feng Xiong has come to actively find himself, but he has already seen the reality. No matter in which world, human nature is the same, it's just that things are different. He is very familiar with this world, but also very unfamiliar. In his memory, this was a book written by someone else, so he had some feelings about this unfamiliar world. After Feng Xiong left, Feng Yao had already forgotten his words. As for what kind of marriage, it's none of his business. In the bamboo forest, a dirty little girl bounced into the bamboo courtyard of Feng Yao, with a small basket on her arm. Brother Feng Yao. Look at what delicious food I brought. Jiang Xia. What happened to you? Feng Yao looked at Jiang Xia, who was dirty. Jiang Xia is the granddaughter picked up by the old man Jiang who lives in the back mountain. She is about the same age as Feng Yao and met her when he was exiled to the back mountain. Jiang also takes great care of Feng Yao in his daily life. The reason why Feng Yao was exiled to this place is because the back mountain is already an unknown place, allowing for a beautiful bamboo forest, and almost no one is willing to come to the back mountain. The reason is not that there are demons, but that this place has been cursed before. This forest is very large, and the Wind clan has sent people to explore it before, but no one has walked out of it. Rumor has it that the back mountain is a barren land, with an ancestor of the Wind clan in the depths of the bamboo forest. This ancestor offended someone who couldn't bear it anymore. After being killed, he was also cursed, and his soul could never be reborn here forever. Feng Yao only operates on the outskirts of the back mountain and has never set foot in that forbidden area. I remember Feng Yao stayed in the back mountain for 3 days and 3 nights. If it weren't for the help of Mr. Jiang, he would probably have become a starving ghost now. I dug some tender bamboo shoots from the forest. Hurry up and cook. My grandfather will also come later. Although Jiang Xia's body was dirty, she couldn't resist her spotless and unparalleled appearance. Okay, let Grandpa Jiang see my culinary skills like a foodie. Feng Yao said as he walked into the kitchen of the small bamboo house. Don't boast, you're still a god of food. It's more like calling you a god of food. Thorny. A sound of stir-frying echoed in the bamboo forest, and the fragrance wafted in every corner of the small bamboo house. All the things in Feng Yao's family, including firewood, rice, oil, and salt, are inseparable from Jiang Xia's grandfather's contribution. Her grandfather regarded him as his own, and Feng Yao had already regarded them as his own family. Xiaozi, what are you making so delicious? There were sounds coming and going from the bamboo forest. Grandpa. Have you been drinking again? Jiang Xia approached and questioned the old man. I didn't drink much, the old man with white beard said drunkenly with a hiccup. Jiang, what's the point of drinking alone? Next time, bring me the wine and I'll drink with you. Feng Yao held the freshly cooked dish in his hand. Stinky kid. How old are you? You already know how to drink. He stuttered to Feng Yao. Hey, try my craft quickly. Feng Yao quickly changed the topic, otherwise there would be another round of nagging. Good, good. If your cultivation is not good, I will admire your excellent cooking skills. Don't mention any pot without opening it. At the age of 13, Brother Feng Yao reached a peak that some people will never be able to break through in their lifetime. Jiang Xia chuckled to herself. Hey! You little girl, why are you turning your elbow out? Brother Feng Yao is not an outsider. Jiang Xia picked up Feng Yao's hand and then gave old Jiang a white glance. I'll tell you a secret, old Jiang said drunkenly. Actually, I'm a reclusive expert, Xia heir. I was lying to you before. Jiang, the old man, was drunk and full, lying on the lounge chair in a daze, falling asleep. Brother Jiang Yao, don't listen to him go crazy. Grandpa is at most a beginner mage and can be considered a reclusive expert among ordinary people. Damn you. You're tarnishing my reputation again, old Jiang said to Jiang Yao in a dying state, and the next second he fell asleep again. Exciting in the next chapter, don't leave, end of this chapter. Chapter 2, Divorce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2, Divorce. Hurry up and take a look in the hall. I heard there are some amazing people coming. What? Wait for me. A few people put down their things and hurriedly went over to watch the excitement. In the main hall, Feng Xiong is in the main seat, and the second seat next to him is a stranger. Feng Xiong. You and I both know each other, so I won't keep it a secret, said the person sitting in the second seat. Brother Mu, you say it, Feng Xiong smiled. Recently, the marriage alliance between the imperial capital Feng family and the Mu family has been widely rumored, and it's unclear whether it's true or false. I'm here this time to divorce my niece. After hearing his words, Feng Xiong's smile gradually solidified and became extremely awkward. Mewling. What do you mean? Asked the hostage standing next to Feng Xiong. This is the marriage arranged by the previous head of my family and Mr. Mu of your family. How can we just say we have to back out? Mr. Feng, sitting in the lower seat, still wanted to salvage the situation. As far as I know, Feng Yao will not become a wizard again in his lifetime, will he? If a genius like my niece were to marry such a crazy trash, what would others think? Mu Ling asked everyone present in a sinister tone. At the age of 13, Feng Yao practiced as a mid-level mage. Do you think he is useless? The elder refuted him with records set by Feng Yao. Setting aside the past, what about now? Mu Ling questioned him. His attitude is very tough, it seems that this marriage must be abandoned. Does Mr. Mu know about his divorce? Sitting in the lower seat, Mr. Feng still wants to struggle to the death and fight for this opportunity to save the Feng family. Mu Ling sneered and said, this small matter naturally doesn't require the old man to come out. Because of you, no. You. The elder sighed and pointed at him. Then he snorted coldly and said, anyway, if you want to withdraw from the marriage, let Mr. Mu, who has signed the engagement letter, come. What you, the uncle, said doesn't count. Brother Feng Yao. The big deal is not good. Jiang Xia panted and ran into Fengyao's small bamboo courtyard. What's up? So panicked. Feng Yao looked at Jiang Xia puzzled. I heard your servant say that the Mu family is coming to divorce, and it seems like they're talking about you. Jiang Xia didn't continue. The Mu family. The marriage arranged by my grandfather for me, murmured Feng Yao. Then he stood up and tidied up his hairstyle. Let's go and watch the excitement. Feng Yao dragged Jiang Xia towards the outside of the bamboo forest. At this moment, Mu Tingying had already arrived at the door of Fengshe Mountain. She is the Princess Mu of the Mu family, Mu Tingying, who has made a doll marriage with Feng Yao. How beautiful! Feng Yao, how virtuous and capable he is. Don't speculate on these big shots, don't even know how they died when the time comes. Mu Tingying entered the Feng family with two middle-aged and strong bodyguards by her side, and her head turned straight. Uncle, I have brought something. A voice interrupted the conversation between Feng Xiong and Mu Ling. A blue-haired woman walked into the hall wearing an imposing ice blue dress, with a hint of ice blue in her deep brown pupils. Mu Ling responded and then said to Feng Xiong, whose expression was stiff beside him. The matter of withdrawing from marriage is our priority, and we will not let you suffer. This is a fire-type soul seed. How about exchanging it for the marriage certificate in your hand? As Mu Ling's words fell, everyone's gaze in the entire hall was fixed on the soul seed taken out next to Mu Tingying. Soul seed. Surprisingly, it is a fire attribute soul seed. Even the elders who had just wanted to salvage their engagement were surprised to see the soul seed shining like a night pearl. This thing is hard to come by for wizards, even if it's on the market, it's priceless. I didn't expect the Mu family to have such a big hand. What Feng Xiong's mind is probably thinking now is, accept this soul seed, maybe you can save the Feng family from the current predicament, but the risks involved are still relatively high. Adding one soul seed and two spirit seeds is not enough to give the Feng family a long-term respite. A soul seed is like sending us away. The elder clearly wanted to avenge his previous withered life. At this moment, Mu Tingying's voice rang out. If you insist on getting married and destroying my innocence, I will do anything to destroy your Feng family. She spoke with a murderous tone, but her cultivation alone was not enough to shake the people present. Feng Xiong looked at the soul seed and was stunned. He didn't know what to do. With such a loud tone, haven't your parents taught you to respect your elders? A childish voice came from outside the door. Bold. Who is it? The bodyguard standing beside Mu Tingying stood up and shouted loudly. Good dog. With a round of applause, the voice grew closer and closer to her. At this moment, a young man walked over from the crowd outside the door, and everyone was making way for him. Feng Yao. What is he doing here? Is that the genius lunatic of the Feng family? What kind of genius lunatic? It's almost like calling a trash lunatic now. At this moment, someone recognized the person and muttered outside the door. Bang! A sound of tapping the table came out, and everyone suddenly fell silent. It was Feng Xiong, who controlled the scene but didn't speak, watching as Feng Yao walked in. What are you doing here? This is not where you should come, said Feng, the parent of Feng who was standing beside him. Hee, isn't it where I should come? This marriage was arranged by my grandfather for me, and I can't make the decision myself. Feng Yao whispered to him. Vertical son, quickly step back, shouted an elder from the family. Oh, this aristocratic family will soon disperse. Do you really think others don't know your little plan? Feng Yao's voice was not loud, but it was extremely harsh to listen to. I think you are the one who looks disrespectful. The elder, led by you, said to Feng Yao in a fit of impatience. Oh, I should have the right to read this marriage letter, right? Feng Yao looked at Feng Xiong, ignoring the elders. Feng Xiong didn't speak, even though Feng Yao was approaching step by step, he remained silent. Feng Yao picked up the marriage letter from Feng Xiong and then returned to his original place to look at the soul seed in front of such natural resources and treasures. He felt a hint of greed in his heart, but it was quickly dispelled by him. This soul seed may have a life to take, but not a life to use. Mu Ling, who was sitting in the upper seat, couldn't help but smile as he watched the internal strife of the Feng family, with a slight smile on his face that couldn't be hidden. Sigh. Feng Yao looked at the wedding letter, frowning and questioning his hair. This marriage letter seems to have been written incorrectly. Feng Yao took out a pen from somewhere and then walked towards Mu Tingying with the marriage letter. Mu Tingying also looked at the red paper and black letters on the wedding letter with a puzzled expression on her face. Do you think this marriage letter looks like something? Feng Yao asked Mu Tingying. Like what? Mu Tingying felt very puzzled, but she felt that this matter would eventually be resolved. As Feng Yao waved his pen on the wedding letter, a large character was prominently written on it. Rest. Book. Feng Yao spewed out word by word from his mouth. Seeing this scene, not only did Mu Tingying mention her, but everyone present was dumbfounded. Mu Ling's smile gradually solidified, staring blankly at the young man. Feng Yao casually threw the painted marriage book at Mu Tingying's feet. She looked at the black characters on the red marriage book, regained her senses, and gritted her teeth to look at Feng Yao. You! Do you dare to humiliate me? As her magical aura surged, the cold breath spread beneath her feet, and in just a few breaths, a spell was completed in her hands. Angry and embarrassed, she directly unleashed her magic. Ice Vine. The ice crystal rushed towards the wind like a ground snake. Feng Yao originally wanted to dodge, but the magic speed was too fast, and the ice crystal quickly froze his calves. Feng Yao was controlled in place, and his legs were frozen to the point where he could hardly feel anything. Bang. As Mu Tingying clenched her fist, she punched Feng Yao's chest, and a mouthful of blood gushed out from Feng Yao's throat. At this moment, Feng Xiong regained his senses and quickly came up to stop, protecting Feng Yao behind him. Feng Xiong's whole body was filled with flames, and at this moment he seemed to transform into the Flame King. You dare! Mu Ling shouted, releasing a pressure that was on par with Feng Xiong. Ice and fire confronted each other, and everyone avoided them. The entire hall was in chaos, and Mu Tingying was protected by her two bodyguards. Feng Xiong and Mu Ling are quite rational and know to stop at the right time. It is not beneficial for both families to take action here, and besides, there are not many people in the Mu family who know about Mu Tingying's divorce. Feng Yao, if you humiliate me today, I will take your life someday. Hate. Green tea bitch. Fengyao sounded the magical world imprinted in memory, unconsciously expressing his thoughts in his heart. Feng Yao's words made Mu Tingying in front of her incredulous. From childhood to adulthood, who has said so about herself? Who dares to say that about themselves? Mu Tingying gritted her teeth and looked at Feng Yao. If this marriage letter turned into a divorce letter, she would be ruined if she stepped out of this door. She is the person that the Mu family focuses on cultivating. If she suffers from this great humiliation, the Mu family will give up on her. Geniuses like her, although rare, are not impossible to find. The Mu family seems to cultivate their current self effortlessly. Feng Yao is now going to fight her to the death. He has already suffered enough humiliation in these years, and it's not her turn to humiliate him yet. Mu Tingying stared at Feng Yao behind Feng Xiong, gradually calming down. This is not good for you or me, why don't we sit down and have a good conversation? Mu Tingying glanced at her uncle beside her. Mu Ling is not foolish either. When it comes to the issue of this niece and the reputation of the entire Mu family, we must have a good discussion. Why not see the true chapter in your strength and let Feng Yao and my niece have a fair and just magical duel? Mu Ling said. All the Feng family members present were cursing him in their hearts when they heard these words. Is it unclear whether to ask them to withdraw? Let Feng Yao, that useless person, fight against the proud son of the Mu family. It's better to just drop out of marriage and be fooled. The Magic Association stipulates that magic duels are not allowed under the age of 18. Feng Yao is not yet 16 years old, is he? Jiang Xia said in the crowd outside the house. After hearing these words, Mu Ling's face became very embarrassed, and she wished to pull out the person who said these words and kill her on the spot. Fortunately, Jiang Xia did not show up and remained hidden in the crowd, unable to be identified. This statement is equivalent to fighting for a chance to survive for Feng Yao, so as not to be killed now. 3 years, in 3 years, we will both be 18 years old, right? If we engage in a magical duel again, if you lose, you will have to honestly withdraw. Mu Tingying stood beside Mu Ling like a shrew and loudly said. Within these 3 years, the Mu family will not renege on this marriage, and we will discuss it again in 3 years. Elder Feng stepped forward to seize this opportunity. This is an opportunity to save the Feng family, at least there is still a place for the Feng family in the imperial capital. He. Feng Yao sneered. Everyone believes that this is just a 3-year probation period for the Feng family, and the outcome in 3 years will still be the same as what happened today, unless, in 3 years, I will personally climb Mount Mupang. Feng Yao pointed at Mu Tingying and said. At this familiar plot, Feng Yao, as a traveler, thought of a sentence. After the agreement was reached, as Mu Tingying's uncle and nephew bid farewell, Feng Yao covered his chest and shouted to them. 30 years in the east and 30 years in the west, do not deceive young people into poverty. If you find it interesting, please give it a collection to all the viewers. End of this chapter. Chapter 3, End of the Road. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, End of the Road. Okay, don't deceive the poor young man. The elder supported the table and sat on the nearby grand tutor's chair. Feng Yao limped away from the scene, covering his wound, and walked to the door. Jiang Xia, the girl, helped Feng Yao walk towards the back mountain. The people who were originally gathered outside also left with noisy discussions. Feng Xiong, an elder, shouted loudly at Feng Xiong. In terms of qualifications, Feng Xiong, the head of the family, is just a visible ruler, and these elders are all his elders. The head of the Feng family should respect him 3 times. Look at your good son. This matter can be considered as enmity with the Mu family. 3 years from now, let's see how your son pushed the Feng family to the guillotine. He was extremely angry, his heart was only for his family, but everything he persisted in was destroyed by this useless person. Feng Xiong remained silent for a long time, and the entire hall also remained quiet for a long time. 3 years. In these 3 years, the wind must cast a forbidden spell. Feng Xiong's eyes were resolute and his tone was firm. Feng Xiong believes that the 3-year agreement is just a joke, and the one who will lose in 3 years must be Feng Yao. Therefore, only by banning the curse and playing cards can the Feng family be resurrected from death. If there is no forbidden curse to support it, either it will be annexed by other aristocratic families or it will pay a price to withdraw from the imperial capital. This is where the depth of the imperial capital lies. Within 3 years, the Feng family will spare no effort to cultivate a forbidden curse. As for Feng Yao, let him live and die on his own. 1 month later, today is Jiang Xia's 16th birthday, and Feng Yao specially tidied up her whole body very clean. Get everything ready. Feng Yao walked out of the bamboo house and towards Jiang Laotu's house deeper in the bamboo forest. The back mountain of the Feng family is much larger than imagined. According to old Jiang, he is the guardian of the back mountain, and I don't know if he is guarding something in the restricted area. These wind lines have all been guessed, but old Jiang has been hiding well and has not found any flaws. There were a few times when he really believed that this old man was just a simple beginner mage. But thinking about being able to live in this ominous back mountain and become a mountain guardian, how could he be a simple beginner mage? Mr. Zhang's house is just 100 meters away from the penalty area. Feng Yao walked for less than 10 minutes, but this time it was much slower. On the way, Feng Yao specially prepared a birthday gift for Jiang Xia, which was a finely patterned bamboo hairpin adorned with bamboo leaves. Jiang Xia wore it as an icing on the cake. Sa sa. A strange voice came from the bamboo forest. A black shadow flashed behind the window. Suddenly, Feng Yao felt a chill coming from his back and turned to look behind him. Who? Feng Yao looked around and shouted loudly. Just now, he clearly felt someone behind him. Even if he was a waste, he could clearly see a black shadow flashing past him. The person who came to kill you. A cold voice emanated from the darkness. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Feng Yao, with a chill emanating from his neck, as cold as a knife holder's neck. Jie. Don't blame me for killing you. If you want to blame me, blame yourself for offending those who shouldn't have offended. The darkness enveloped Feng Yao's whole body, and a cold voice rang out in his ear once again. Upon hearing the cold words, Feng Yao suddenly thought of who came here to kill him. The knife was hanging around Feng Yao's neck. How dare he act recklessly? Did Mu Tingying send you here? Feng Yao said calmly. No matter who sent me, you won't be able to escape death today. The cold tone began to intensify, and the blade quickly cut across Feng Yao's neck. Crack. The sound of bamboo breaking came from behind the window. The black shadow immediately fell on Feng Yao's body, and the strong dark aura just now dissipated instantly. This is a shadow-type mage. The bamboo hairpin was inserted deep into his throat, and he didn't even have a chance to make a sound, so he was knocked down by Feng Yao. The bamboo hairpin was dyed blood red. You ruined the gift I gave to Jiang Xia, why don't you give me another gift? Feng Yao lowered the person and whispered in his ear. Do you really think that if he doesn't know magic, he becomes a complete waste? During these 3 years of humiliation, he was constantly trying to become stronger. Since magic didn't work, he had to exercise his physical body. Although he was still vulnerable to magic, the unexpected effect was still very good. In this world, the fighting skills of previous lives can also be considered as learning from each other's strengths and weaknesses. Isn't the only weakness of a magician being the inability to engage in close combat? Feng Yao touched the bloodstain on his neck and almost felt resentful towards the northwest. Then he took off the knife in his hand and cut a wound on his neck that was the same as himself. The wound was deeper than Feng Yao's neck, and just now it had cut through the blood vessels in his neck. Blood sprayed like a fountain on the green bamboo beside him. Feng Yao buried the body with decaying bamboo leaves that had fallen, and then cleared the bloodstains on his body and walked towards Mr. Zhang's house. The Jiang family's house is entirely built of stone and has a large courtyard, which is also quite explosive in this bamboo forest. Perhaps due to being on the edge of the restricted area, few people in the Feng family know that there is still a family here, and even if they do, no one will care about their lives, Mr. Jiang. I'm here. Feng Yao began to exclaim from the moment he entered the courtyard. When Feng Yao walked to the door, his left eyelids began to jump wildly, and he suddenly felt a bad premonition about to happen. Feng Yao pushed open the door and with a creaking sound, he saw bloodstains. Feng Yao walked into the room with a worried heart, looking at the bloodstains on the ground in disbelief. As his heart quickened, he began to look around for the body. After searching for a while, I found that there was not even a single person, and every room in the room was empty. There must be a reason for something suspicious. If Feng Yao doesn't see the body now, it means they may still be alive. With further observation, Feng Yao found an envelope stained with blood in the corner. What exactly happened here? Feng Yao opened the envelope covered in bloodstains with doubts. The crooked font in the letter reads, "Kid, don't worry for now. We're fine, don't worry about us. Due to some special reasons, I left with Jiang Xia. Today is Xia Er's 16th birthday, and I believe you will come." There is a map in the letter, which is within the restricted area. I have been guarding this place for many years, but someone is still coming to investigate. Don't you always want to know what's in the penalty area? I'll tell you now. Buried in the forbidden area are the ancestors of the Wind family, who can change magic and the world. This world is more complex than you imagine, and some people can do anything for their rights. Perhaps she can help you with the fusion magic you are researching, and at the very least she can help you restore the dead magic. Don't come to find me in Xiar, kid. At least don't come to find us before reaching the super level. This matter involves many causes and effects, so don't get involved. Feng Yao looked at the bloodstains on the letter and clearly wrote in a hurry. They must have encountered something. He thought of many outcomes and inexplicably felt a surge of anger in his heart. Why did the world treat him like this? My family has betrayed me, and now my old friend has also left, leaving only myself, she. Feng Yao looked at the letter with some confusion. Who is she? Is it possible that the ancestor of the Feng family is still alive? Impossible. Suddenly, footsteps came from the courtyard, and Feng Yao frowned and squatted in the corner of the wall. Feng Yao can clearly feel that the person arriving is not inferior in strength, at least 10 times stronger than the person who was about to kill him just now. Oh. Surprisingly, there are still remnants of the party. It's just a good time to catch someone and send them back to work, otherwise it's not easy to explain. This voice was very steady, unlike the person who underestimated the enemy just now. It seems that this person is clearly not in the same group as the one just now. Feng Yao crouched in the corner and dared not speak. This person's cultivation level is at least above the middle level. If you want to kill yourself, you cannot rely solely on luck. Wind track. Flash step. The magic is almost instantly released without seeing the depiction. The next second, the figure instantly appears at the door. Feng Yao suppressed his breathing, and the whole room was quiet except for his heartbeat. He walked into the room and walked towards Feng Yao's room, searching for his breath. Feng Yao, hiding in the corner of the room, dared not make a sound. Just as he was about to push open the door, Feng Yao's figure disappeared from the corner of the room. He opened the door, frowned, and carefully searched for the disappearing breath. Just now. If you think it looks good, give it a collection. End of this chapter. Chapter 4, Soul Sealing Formation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4, Soul Sealing Formation. Feng Yao flashed through the window and arrived at the forbidden area, which isolated his breath, even the living breath on his body. Fortunately, Mr. Zhang's yard was large enough to be right at the edge of the penalty area, with a distance of 100 meters. He climbed through the window and arrived at the back mountain penalty area within a few steps. If caught by that person, it will probably be called Tian Tian Buling or DD Buling, and one can only rely on fate. After briskly walking for hundreds of meters, I found that all the bamboo around me had disappeared, not even a blade of grass or a bird. Feng Yao took out the restricted area map left by old Jiang. The map was marked with many dangerous signs, and Feng Yao found his location starting from the home of Mr. Jiang. The meaning of the letter is to ask me to go to the restricted area to find someone who is likely to no longer exist. Feng Yao stood in place and muttered to himself. This is a restricted area, rumored to be extremely dangerous, coupled with what Jiang Lao-Tu said in his letter, so he dare not act recklessly. Everyone has entered, let's follow the map first. Feng Yao didn't expect to enter the restricted area so quickly, and was forced to enter. In front of Feng Yao is a barren land, and one can feel its eerie aura before stepping into it. Feng Yao walked 10 steps forward against the map and then 3 steps left suddenly. I don't know where a lot of white powder drifted in, and under the diffuse powder, rays of sunlight shone in. More and more white powder began to gather, coalescing into water droplets, scattered in every corner of this open space. Every tiny drop of water diffuses together, forming a dense fog. In just a few tens of seconds, mist rose up all over, extremely eerie. Feng Yao stood at a loss in the sudden fog, looking around to the point where he couldn't see his fingers. The wind line didn't know where to go and didn't dare to take a step forward. It just stood motionless in the mist. Suddenly, a beam of light flashed before Feng Yao's eyes and caught his attention. This beam of light shines in front of Feng Yao, and the mist instantly dissipates under the beam. Feng Yao was surprised to find clusters of green grass growing in the area illuminated by the beam of light. Feng Yao extended his hand to let the light fall into his own hand, and just as he touched the beam of light, Feng Yao withdrew his hand. Feng Yao withdrew his palm and found that the palm had turned pale, and transparent frost began to appear on his hand. That light looked incredibly warm, but it emitted an astonishing chill. Feng Yao looked at the glistening grass growing under his feet in confusion, curious about how it grew in such an environment. The beam of light began to spread towards Feng Yao, and Feng Yao was constantly pushed back by the light. Just as Feng Yao was retreating, one foot suddenly stepped out and the body fell backwards. Who would have expected that behind the wind Yao is no longer a solid soil, but a black hole like a vast abyss? Ah! Feng Yao was truly startled by this scene. This is somewhat eerie. From the moment the mist appeared, everything around Feng Yao changed. Feng Yao fell into a black hole, and the sense of weightlessness in his body made him spin in the air. A dizzy sensation spread to Feng Yao's mind. Pop it up. Pop it up. Pop it up. Pop it up. There is nothing to be seen in the pitch-black hole, no sound, only the regular heartbeat of one person in a warm room. Feng Yao lay on a spacious and soft bed, with a woman dressed in rags and with an unparalleled appearance lying beside him. The woman gently placed her hand on Feng Yao's face, and her fingers lightly brushed over Feng Yao's skin. Feng Yao suddenly woke up and sat up, breathing rapidly as he looked ahead. The veins on his forehead suddenly burst out. Looking at this unfamiliar place, he looked around. Then I saw a shabby woman sitting next to me, and my heart couldn't help but be taken aback. Feng Yao looked at her and couldn't help but be surprised when he saw her face. He widened his eyes and looked at her. Suddenly, a sense of nudity came, and he quickly covered his chest, his face extremely ugly. Lie down. Feng Yao cursed profusely, wanting to stand up and protect his chastity. When Feng Yao saw the 2 big white rabbits swaying in front of him again, the blood on his body began to boil, as if lying in a sea of fire with a surging force. After giving Feng Yao a glance, she lightly lifted the corner of her mouth and looked at him with a complex expression in her eyes. Hee hee, she chuckled softly as she waved her hand towards Feng Yao. Pop. Accompanied by a crisp sound, it enters the ears of Feng Yao. Click. Suddenly, Feng Yao felt as if he had fallen to the ground, and his whole body felt as if it had been crushed by a grinding wheel, causing waves of pain. Ah! Little brother, remember to come and find someone. There's a reward for finding someone. The crisp and numb voice blew past Feng Yao's ear with his breath. Watching the woman's eerie and beautiful smile, Feng Yao gradually fainted in the pitch-black hole, a butterfly emitting green milky white fluorescence lightly tapped on Feng Yao's forehead. Feng Yao suddenly woke up and instinctively extended his hand to his lower body. It's okay, it's just a dream. Feng Yao breathed a sigh of relief and felt a bit scared, then a wave of pain spread throughout his body, and he looked up at his head. The hole above must be at least 10 meters long, and he fell from such a high place and even had a dream. Who is that woman? Feng Yao realized the woman who was daydreaming for him. Why are you still taking action when you say you're just daydreaming? The key is whether it is the place where the hands are used or not. Unconsciously, fireflies were already flying around Feng Yao, and flowers and plants were growing under his feet. This place is quite normal. Feng Yao looked at the quiet and deep cave. She can't be the person I'm looking for, can she? Feng Yao suddenly remembered old Zhang's letter. No, it's too cruel. The letter didn't say it was male or female. She. Feng Yao twitched his lips and thought of the female character she used in the letter, then felt like crying without tears. There seems to be nothing eerie in this dark cave, and the eerie light must not be able to enter. Since there was no way out, it was better to walk down the hole, but he still had some resistance, afraid of encountering that cruel woman and giving himself up. Feng Yao remembered to come find someone. As he strolled, his mind was filled with the seductive voice of that woman. No. How did she know my name? Feng Yao suddenly thought. Is she really the ancestor of the Feng family? Feng Yao muttered to himself along the way, speculating and having wild thoughts. Suddenly, Feng Yao saw the end of the cave entrance, emitting fluorescence at the end, as if there was another cave entrance in the cave. Feng Yao quickly went up to check and found that the fluorescence was emitted from the hole inside. A monument stands at the entrance of the cave, blocking it. There is also a burnt yellow talisman paper pasted on it, which draws a bunch of messy lines. When Feng Yao wanted to tear off the talisman paper, there seemed to be magic on it that repelled Feng Yao's hand. However, the repulsive force is very small, just like it's just to prevent small animals from damaging. Feng Yao tore off the talisman paper and moved the stone tablet blocking the middle of the hole. The entrance of the cave was just enough to accommodate Feng Yao's curled-up figure, and as Feng Yao's body moved slowly through the narrow entrance, it finally entered the cave. When Feng Yao saw everything in the cave, his eyes became dull. In the cave, there are 6 glowing stones like night pearls, and under the reflection of these 6 stones, the smooth ground can be seen covered in blood-red stripes. The blood-red stripes emit a demonic red light, and under the reflection of the red light, a sleeping woman can be seen hanging in mid-air bound by a blood chain. Feng Yao looked in surprise at the woman's face in front of him, which was almost the same as her in his dream. Her peerless appearance still made people drool. Even though it had lost its color, she is like a fairy descending to the mortal world, truly beautiful. Feng Yao's emotions upon seeing this bloody scene were not fear, but desire. Indulging in a fleeting moment, but it also moved his heart. If he had to make a comparison, she would definitely be thousands of times more beautiful than Mu Tingying. Feng Yao circled around her, looking tattered as in a dream, but there were no scars on her body in the dream. You have finally arrived. The voice of the evil spirit reached Feng Yao's ears. Help me. Her tone suddenly changed to the voice of a pitiful and weak woman. Feng Yao looked at her hanging in the air with a complex expression, but she didn't move. It seemed like a message from her soul. Do you know how many years I've been waiting for? Finally made me wait for a living person. I want his body. Her tone suddenly became fierce, as if she had changed her personality. Upon hearing this sentence, Feng Yao cautiously took a few steps back and stared around. Take it away. Feng Yao immediately thought of this possibility. You can't do this. I am you, and if you do this, you will also die. The crazy voice echoed in Feng Yao's ear again. Are you willing to help me? That gentle voice sounded. Suddenly, the sound began to become substantial, as if someone was really speaking in their ear. Feng Yao was digesting the information he had just heard, but suddenly heard this sentence and felt a bit at a loss. Who are you? Feng Yao asked. I am the ancestor of the Feng family, a person who disappeared from the Feng family tree. Feng Huang. Her voice was intermittent. I don't have time to explain. I have been sealed off by this soul formation for hundreds of years, and this body has the same will as me. It is an evil soul that has been born for many years. Because we were both trapped in this formation, we had a symbiotic relationship. Now that you're here, she's going to break this relationship, swallow me first, and then take you away. What should I do? Feng Yao interrupted directly. Accept me, don't resist, I will forever seal this evil soul in this body. Feng Yao frowned and accepted her. Why do I have to believe her? What if her eyes are also trying to make up these stories to deceive herself for the sake of losing? Just now, that wisp of evil soul was bewitching you. I'm not her. Please believe me, we can sign an equal contract. Her voice came again. Due to some reasons, this chapter has been blocked, which is the revised version. End of this chapter. Chapter 5, Abducting a Grandmother. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 6, Derived Secrets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6, Derived Secrets. In the hundreds of years that I have passed away, my Wind clan has fallen to this place. Anyway, as long as there is still a trace of Feng's bloodline, there is still room for maneuver. Just now, Feng Huang accidentally peeked into Feng Yao's memory. At this age, he has experienced stories that do not belong to his age. However, there is still a sea of memories in the sea of wind and line consciousness that even her powerful soul cannot pry into. That mysterious power has surpassed time. Feng Yao walked and stopped all the way, and finally stopped at a fitness park. Usually, ordinary elderly people come here to exercise, entertain birds, and chat. Feng Yao found a remote pavilion and sat down. Feng Yao, take out that ring first. Feng Huang's sweet voice came to his mind. After taking off the ring, Feng Yao put it in his pocket. After all, it was a dead person thing and he didn't dare to wear it on his hand. After hearing Feng Huang's words, he took out the ring full of cracks. Is this a space ring? What good things are inside? Feng Yao was a little curious. Feng Huang did not answer his question, but instead turned into strands of white mist that crawled out of Feng Yao's eyebrows. The white mist transformed into the appearance of Feng Huang's peerless beauty before her death. Humph. It seems you're not stupid. Do you know how to recognize the master with blood? Feng Huang snorted coldly. What attitude are you? Don't be afraid to do anything to you just because you are my ancestor. Feng Yao immediately put on a look of wanting to do something bad. Shameless. You're still surnamed Feng. Feng Huang looked at his lewd expression and felt speechless. Is it like this? With the sound of words, Feng Yao bit his finger with his teeth and dripped blood onto the ring. Hey! Why didn't you react? He stared at the ring in his left hand without any reaction. I saw the virtual shadow of the phoenix gradually shrink, and finally turn into a small spot of white light blooming. The small light point flew into the center of the ring, and suddenly, the entire ring emitted a bright red light as if it were being baked by flames. The blood cage dripped by Feng Yao covers the entire ring, and white light blends into the blood, finally merging into the ring. The cracks on the ring flowed with wind like agate blood, and the entire ring seemed to be coated with a layer of blood, full of strangeness. What are you doing? Feng Yao looked at the changes in the ring in confusion. We have signed a soul contract, and each body can only accommodate one soul. I can't rely on your divine sense, can I? Only your blood can make me parasitize on other objects. Coincidentally, this ring is good, and there is something familiar to me inside, explained the phoenix. Ring. Grandpa. Grandma. This. Feng Yao couldn't believe it all anymore, as if in a dream. Is Feng Shui taking turns and turning on oneself? What are you thinking? Don't you want to know what's inside? He said in a daze. What is it? Feng Yao turned to his senses and asked. If you change the soul contract to an equal contract, I'll tell you. Cut. Who wouldn't know how to draw a pancake? Does what's inside have anything to do with me? Feng Yao pursed his lips. Feng Yao finally understood that this ancestor was trying to deceive himself into changing the contract. I just observed in your spiritual world, and don't you want those two dead types to recover quickly? Do you have a way? No. However, the phoenix began to play riddles again. Love to say or not to say. I have magic-derived secrets, as long as you change the contract, I will teach you. How about that, said the phoenix proudly. Derived secret method. Feng Yao couldn't help but ponder upon hearing this sentence. Isn't derivative magic something that Mo Fan came to understand more than a decade later when he was under house arrest in the Holy City? And she was a person from over 300 years ago. Is it precisely because of this that I am sealed underground and cannot be reborn forever? Why do you insist on changing the contract to an equal contract instead of terminating it? Isn't this even more like giving you freedom? Feng Yao was a bit confused. Without a physical body, do you want me to return to heaven and earth? As long as I have a physical body, said the phoenix. I see, Feng Yao nodded, and his little abacus was planning something. How about you teach me the derived secret method and I help you find a suitable body? Feng Yao said. Upon hearing this, Feng Huang looked at Feng Yao with a dark face. It's not easy to find the body needed for the forbidden curse. Besides, if you don't terminate the contract, I still have to obey you. Forbidden curse. According to common sense, ordinary people will not know this magical realm, and super level is the highest title of magic. And is Feng Yao an ordinary person? Even without the advantage of time travel memory, how could he not know that he was born into the Feng family? Okay, I agree to modify the contract. Feng Yao pondered for a while, and now it is most important to restore his cultivation talent. The method of deriving magic can really change the situation of the entire magical world, and an equal contract is still a contract, which is very cost-effective. Okay. The phoenix couldn't wait a long time, and the feeling of being controlled was really bad. The equal contract can only be signed under the same circumstances between both parties, and the previous master-servant contract is directly abolished. After modifying the contract, Feng Yao put the ring with blood streaks on his hand, and there was no sense of discord after wearing it, perhaps because his blood was already flowing on it. How should I call you in the future? You can't be called by your ancestors, can you? Feng Yao said. What's not your ancestor's name? I'm your ancestor, isn't I? Feng Huang suddenly came up with a solution. Why don't you worship me as your teacher? I'll teach you magic, how about that? Feng Yao's head was covered in black lines, staring at Feng Huang's proud expression. Hey, you're a bit too arrogant. I was still your master just now, why do you want to be my teacher again? How can I teach you magic if you don't apprentice, said the phoenix. How about I make do with it? I don't mind your age. Get lost. Feng Huang was really fed up with his lewd appearance. Why did she end up with such a scumbag? You'll follow me, and when the time comes, I'll resurrect you. Let's. Feng Huang saw him so shameless, so she decided to ignore him. Wait, it seems like there's really a way to resurrect you. Feng Yao suddenly thought of the stories engraved in his memory. Although he forgot many details, these big stories were very profound. Have you ever heard of the Greek Parthenon resurrection technique? Feng Yao said. Have you heard of such a divine skill in the world? Asked the phoenix. Yes, there is, but it's not the time yet. Why? The timing is not yet right, so it cannot be said that the current goddess Parthenon may still be in school. Can you foresee the future? Feng Yao shook his head and said, yes, neither is it. If it could really be resurrected, as you said, what would happen? Feng Huang looked at him with firm eyes, as if he was extremely eager for resurrection, an instinctive desire. Feng Yao was a bit surprised when she heard this sentence. She thought she would continue to be reserved, but she didn't expect it. But that's all. Do you remember this sentence? It's also good to have such a divine ancestor by your side to nourish your eyes. As soon as Feng Huang was about to say something, he was interrupted by Feng Yao and said, "Quickly teach me the method of derivation." Feng Yao sat quietly under the pavilion, listening to the derived secrets. Keep the manuscript in hand, you have the ticket. End of this chapter. Chapter 7, The Way to Fusion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7, The Way to Fusion. Derivation is both fusion and creation. The so-called rules are only set by the strong for the weak, and without the courage to innovate, one can only remain stagnant. No one can restrict you from following the dogma of magical giants, but people always subconsciously enter into the rules set by the strong. Can you tell me what magic is? Phoenix asked like a teacher teaching her students. After hearing what Feng Huang had just said, Feng Yao's heart, which would never be recognized, seemed to have fallen at this moment. Magic is like a civilization, and innovation is the beginning of decline. At this moment, Feng Yao, who is obsessed with integrating magic, seems to understand something. Magic is a natural ability bestowed upon humans. Since people discovered magic, they have been following the same cultivation method from beginning to end. One star should correspond to the next star, and one star track and one star map only represent one type of spell. If magic is fused to create derivatives, Feng Yao fell silent at this point. He finally found out why this ancestral phoenix was sealed underground and could not be reborn forever. Those people in my memory also have such experiences. In this world, not only Feng Zhoulong has realized a new path of magical civilization, but some have already thought of it hundreds or even thousands of years ago. However, due to their rights, interests, and humanity, they were all brutally banned without exception. If magic is fused to create derivatives, new magical abilities will be discovered, which will not appear within the rules and will no longer be bound by these rules. Feng Huang continued his previous words. Who established these rules? Magic requires the use of awakening stones for awakening, and after awakening, one must practice mechanically like in textbooks. Failure to do so will lead to self-destruction. This concept has been deeply embedded in everyone's heart since the beginning of magic education. The reason why imaginative ideas may appear in elementary school is because these concepts have not yet reached a deeply rooted level. They will gradually be accepted in middle school and completely fall into that rule in high school, but Feng Yao is different. He does not belong to this world because an adult's rationality is not easily lost, so he is obsessed with fusion magic. I can feel your magic. Thunder and fire, they haven't turned into death forms, but have entered a dormant period, said the phoenix. Dormant period. Feng Yao couldn't understand. Because your soul is much stronger than your peers, you awaken to magic at the age of 10, and your cultivation talent is also unique. However, your cultivation method is too radical, which led to both spells entering a dormant period. Feng Huang explained. So, as long as you wake up the dormant magic series, you can embark on the path of magic again. Feng Yao said. Not bad, but it's a bit difficult for you now to awaken magic. The stronger your talent, the harder it will be to awaken, Feng Huang thought with a lowered head. By the way, what are the derived conditions? Feng Yao asked. The condition is that the soul is strong enough. I have an idea that I don't know if it works. Feng Yao seemed to have a new idea after hearing this sentence. If I merge the two magic systems inside my body to create a new magic system, it's not a fusion of two magic systems, but a fusion of two magic systems, emphasized Feng Yao. Fusion magic. Feng Huang's eyes lit up and she seemed to have some more thoughts in her heart. Magic can merge, why can't magic be combined? What will the new magic department look like? She also really wants to know. It should be possible to merge two factions, and the dormant magic will definitely generate a new awakening, but said the phoenix hesitantly. But what? Feng Yao asked. Your previous cultivation may no longer exist, but the new magic system will lay a solid foundation. Every step of your future cultivation will require you to explore on your own. If successful, you will be the pioneer of new magic, said Feng Huang. Well, what does it take to integrate magic? Feng Yao can't wait anymore. This concept only exists in theory, but no one has implemented it. He will be the pioneer of new magic. Fusion requires strong soul and willpower, and with you right now, you can't even cast the simplest fusion magic, and fusion magic is even more impossible. But I will make up for your shortcomings, and then you only need to endure the pain that fusion brings to your soul, said the phoenix. Well, come now. Feng Yao looked at her firmly. Now. Are you sure? Feng Yao said firmly. After listening to the derivative method of Feng Huang, Feng Yao felt that his future was bright and his thoughts were beyond the rules. It's almost evening now, and most people come out to stroll after dinner. The position of Feng Yao is overgrown with weeds and the light cannot shine, making it pitch black and no one willing to come and stroll. Okay, I have already told you the important regulations that have been derived, the rest depends on your intelligence and willpower. After Feng Huang finished speaking, her body transformed into a white light and entered the spiritual world of Feng Yao. Feng Yao still sat cross-legged under the pavilion, but his spirit had already entered the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, one can clearly see the figure of the phoenix. In the boundless nothingness, there is only the spiritual body transformed by the spirits of Feng Yao and Feng Huang, and nothing else. So the two of them drifted in the void for a long time, and suddenly two grey stardust appeared at the end of the void. The dust of the stars is dim and lifeless, as if it were a meteorite belt in the universe, extremely dim. There is no breath of life above the dust of the stars, even the original power of the origin cannot be sensed. You try to guide the two stardust, and I will apply force to merge them, said the phoenix. The spirit of Feng Yao approached, but the dust of the stars remained motionless. Then the phoenix pinched a milky white ball of light in her hand and shone brightly in this void. Buzz! The two stardust, thunder and fire, shook the spiritual world of Feng Yao a few times as if they were flipping over in their sleep. At this moment, Feng Yao could vaguely feel the presence of two stardust particles. He was overjoyed and began to guide them to gather. That's it, slowly overlapping the two. Feng Huang's voice came from behind. Suddenly, the stardust on the right begins to bloom with its original radiance, and the fiery red instantly infects the void of the spiritual world, leaving a brilliant glow. The transformation of stardust into nebula is the original magical realm of Feng Yao. The next second, the fire nebula seems to be engulfing as it approaches the thunder nebula dust. The thunder series seems to be awakened by the power of flames, blooming with extremely strong penetrating power, and bursts of thunder threads merge into it, causing explosions. Two magic spells unexpectedly started fighting in Feng Yao's spiritual world. Comfort. A vast voice spread throughout the spiritual world of Feng Yao. Under the soothing sound, both irritable spells quieted down. The two are intertwined, and the dust and nebula are colliding with each other. The spiritual world of Feng Yao seems to have turned into an ancient battlefield, with thunder and fire wreaking havoc in it. Coming. The voice of the phoenix sounded. Her soul emitted a dazzling white light, which seemed incredibly warm, but Feng Yao felt a strong chill. He suddenly thought of something. That light. Feng Yao suppressed his pain and exclaimed in surprise. The light shines into nothingness as if the chaos that has been created since the beginning of heaven and earth is derived from it. Thunder and fire ignite in the heart of Fengyao, and the soul of Fengyao continues to be impacted by the collision of thunder and fire. Ah! The soul of Feng Yao is burning and screaming in agony. In the outside world, Feng Yao was sweating profusely and his face turned pale, but he was lifeless. Sparks of electricity kept popping out from his body, and his skin was scorched black from the electric whip, as if it had been electrified by high-voltage electricity. The collision between the magic of thunder and fire also blends, which is only the first step of fusion. The next step is to destroy each of the two magic stars one by one, and then reshape them in the new star dust. The souls of Xingqian, Xingzi, and Feng Yao are connected together, and every collision is tormenting Feng Yao's soul. Ah! Feng Yao was forced out of his spiritual world by pain, and the heart-wrenching sound echoed in the remote pavilion of the park. The shouting quickly attracted many onlookers who were eating melons. They are standing 5 meters away from Feng Yao, not because they are unwilling to help him, but because Feng Yao is now like a high-voltage power line, with flames and lightning everywhere in the pavilion. What's wrong with this young man? Judging from this posture, he must be a powerful magician. Magician. Let's call the police quickly. If we go crazy, we won't be able to resist it. An old lady looked at the lightning and flames emanating from Feng Yao's body. Although she was a bit worried, it was easy for her to lose control of him when she saw his painful expression. End of this chapter. Chapter 8, Birth of New Series. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8, Birth of New Series. Bang! A burst of explosion came from the spiritual world of Feng Yao. The void is no longer filled with thunder and fire, but with chaos, giving birth to a glimmer of light. It's a new series. Purple and red interweave together, and the dust of the stars is much larger than the previous fire nebula. The purple no longer emits lightning, and the red no longer emits flames. The fusion of the two creates a subtle reaction. All elemental particles rush into it, transforming, splitting, and regenerating. The particles are stained with thunder and flames, and there are subtle spatial forces operating within them. The red and white dust of the stars flowed with red, purple, and a hint of silver mixed in, and the three merged into a colorful spiritual universe. The new series is quietly born with the sound of explosions. The wind outside had already passed out, and the lightning and flames on his body had dissipated. Then, an ambulance honked its horn and drove into the park. It was the people around who had just hit 120, isn't this young man dead? Without demons, how could a magician die so easily? There was a faint conversation coming from the outside, and then Feng Yao's vague consciousness could feel himself being lifted up and moving quickly. The new magic has not yet truly derived its own rules. The framework of magic has been created, but the essence of magic, that is, the stars, has not been reshaped. So it's better to strike while the iron is hot and let yourself faint for a while longer. Feng Yao was pulled away by an ambulance, where doctors examined his vital signs and oxygen was administered to him. Accompanied by a slight sound of breathing, Feng Yao's heart rate gradually stabilized. Feng Yao's soul almost shattered several times, but fortunately it was protected by the powerful soul of Feng Huang. Otherwise, if his soul were torn apart, he would have slept here forever. Feng Huang was also very excited and surprised when she saw the birth of a new magic department. He was the first person in the history of magic to integrate magic departments. The so-called called elemental magic, dimensional magic, and black and white magic of wind, fire, thunder, and lightning are just discoveries that have not reached true creation. They are things that are already present in this world, but this time they are different. Integration, derivation, and creation are the true innovations. Feng Huang has been delivering soul power to Feng Yao, and magic is the origin of the soul. Feng Yao can also be considered as destroying and reshaping the soul, consuming more soul power than he himself. Without a phoenix, he will undoubtedly die. Even if he tells fortune, he will never die, and his soul will fall into eternal slumber. Feng Huang continued to guide him on how to create the star child. Human beings have three souls, namely, fetal light, refreshing spirit, and ghost, which respectively refer to heaven, human beings, and earth. People also have 7 souls, and these 7 souls are the 7 stars you want to reshape, namely Fuya, corpse dog, stinky lung, non-poisonous, swallowing thieves, bird-eating, and cleanliness. The 3 souls and 7 souls are the essence of human beings, and the soul is the origin of magic. Magic naturally arises from the soul. Feng Yao injects the essence of the soul into the dust of the red, silver, white, red, and purple stars. Stardust flickered in a regular pattern, like a heartbeat. Suddenly, a bright light was born within it, accompanied by the appearance of the first star, followed closely by other stars. The 7 souls of Feng Yao are completely integrated into magic, completely integrated with magic. The magic stars shaped by the 7 spirits no longer follow the original magic rules, and the star orbit no longer only has a corresponding magic, but can release different effects of magic by changing the arrangement of the stars. Feng Yao was in a coma in the intensive care unit for a whole night, and woke up the next day to find that the surroundings were very quiet. He was also covered with a thin layer of white cloth. There seemed to be no change in his whole body except for his clothes, so he lifted the white cloth and got out of bed and walked out of the intensive care unit. Suddenly, a nurse stopped him. "Hey! You can't do it without the doctor's consent." Feng Yao turned around and the nurse who stopped him stood still when he saw Feng Yao's face. "Fake corpse!" she shouted loudly, spreading throughout every corner of the corridor. A doctor wearing a white coat came over to check. After seeing Feng Yao's face, I couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. I remembered last night when I did CPR for him, and it wasn't until the morning when rescue efforts were unsuccessful that he was declared dead. He felt a chill in his spine when he thought of this. He was surprised for a moment before saying, "Come with me to have your body checked again." This doctor did not panic like the nurse just now, but instead calmed himself down and used scientific examination to understand the truth. After a while of tinkering, it was discovered that their outdated instruments were the cause of this error. "Mr. Feng, after you were sentenced to death, your family visited you at the hospital and she said a sentence to you when she left. I happened to hear it at that time." The doctor reminded Feng Yao and wanted him to recognize the true face of certain people. "My family." You can guess what you're saying just by thinking of this. But he didn't expect that there were still people who cared about his life and death, which surprised him a bit. "Dead. Find a place to bury it casually. He's not worthy of being compared to me." "That's the true words of that person," the doctor whispered, afraid that Feng Yao's emotions would lose control and cause more trouble. "Do you know who the person who came is?" Feng Yao asked. The doctor shook his head and said, "It's a girl who looks very young, has long blue hair, and is very beautiful." "I know." After finishing his clothes, Feng Yao left here. "I didn't expect that the person who cared most about my life and death after I had an accident was actually an enemy, Feng Yao said to himself as he walked up the stairs. "Anyway, the old me was indeed dead," murmured Feng Yao. After leaving the hospital, Feng Yao arrived at a long-abandoned old city outside the imperial capital. He has been reborn and transformed. The imperial capital is the place where he grew up. He has recognized people's hearts, and since the people here cannot tolerate him, he will go far away until those people are far away. At this moment, the ring on Feng Yao's hand, which was flowing with red liquid, flickered with a faint light, and a sound came into Feng Yao's ear. "Be careful. There's a demon following you behind you," Feng Huang's voice reminded. Feng Yao quickened his pace, and if Feng Huang didn't remind him, he wouldn't even notice. "Just give it a try with new magic," Feng Yao said as he walked. "It's a servant-level lizard head giant demon, and you should be able to deal with it now." Feng Huang did not come out of the ring, but guided Feng Yao in the ring. Feng Yao saw that the timing was approaching, so he turned around to face the lizard-headed giant demon who wanted to ambush. I saw that the giant demon with a lizard head was somewhat surprised by Feng Yao's discovery. Since the surprise attack was not successful, let's launch a strong attack. The aura on Feng Yao's body is undergoing subtle changes. Although his cultivation is still in the early stage of awakening magic, he reached this level 3 years ago. Isn't it easy to release a spell? Moreover, Feng Yao's new magic will not follow those rigid rules. Come on. Feng Yao shouted loudly. The colorful dust of the stars in the spiritual world shines brightly, and one of the stars is stuck in the midst of the dust. There is no interconnection between the stars to form a star orbit, just the movement of one star brings magical power to the Fengyao. Gathering. With the command of the Fengyao magic sound, the surrounding elements seem to be converging towards him. As the elements converge, a silver light blooms in the space, forming a silver vortex in front of the Fengyao. Fire and thunder elements are gradually swallowed into the silver vortex space. The elements of thunder and fire are rapidly compressed in the silver space. The originally massive silver vortex suddenly turned into the size of a palm. Fission. The compressed particles of lightning and fire elements gradually merge in space, and then begin to split again. More and more particles of lightning and fire elements are splitting, merging, splitting, and merging in this narrow space. Under the operation of the vortex, the elemental particles rub against each other to produce electrical and optical sparks, beginning to undergo substantial changes. Silver spiral floats in the hands of Fengyao, beginning to become a tangible space where there are more than 100 times more thunder and fire elements than the outside world. The Fengyao dances the silver spiral in its hand, and under its high-speed operation, it rubs against space to produce sparks and flames. Slash. Silver spin was thrown towards the lizard skull giant demon. The silver vortex as big as a palm began to cut against the skin of the lizard skull monster at the moment of contact. Every swipe will cut through the space. Under the rapid rotation of the silver spiral, the lizard-headed giant demon was cut thousands of times in a row. Bang! In the end, the space in the silver vortex could not withstand the pressure of elemental fission and exploded in an instant. After the explosion, the air was filled with violent elements of thunder and fire. At this moment, a white shield appeared beside Feng Yao. He glanced at the ring on his finger and then began guiding the second star. 2 stars are connected to form a simple star orbit. The elements of thunder and fire that diffuse in the air form a wind vortex during the operation of the star's orbit, and at this moment, all the elemental particles that diffuse in the air converge in the wind vortex. The wind vortex presents a dark red color, and under the rapid friction between space and wind, thunder and fire elements merge into a rapidly rotating wind track. Wind has spawned in thunder and fire. Each strand of wind in the whirlwind is composed of lightning and flames, as fast as a blade, trapping and cutting the giant lizard. The lizard skull giant lizard has died in the first fusion explosion, and the second wind spin is comparable to mid-level wind magic, which also contains elements of thunder and fire. Its current power is no less than that of mid-level magic. The lizard-headed giant demon was whipped by wind, thunder, and fire, with its flesh and blood flying wildly, gradually turning into blood and merging into the wind whirl. This power. Feng Yao himself was also surprised. This is just his effect of connecting 2 stars. What power would it be if all the stars were connected? Deriving magic from magic that was not originally there, it seems that you have mastered the way of derivation. Feng Huang separated a phantom from the ring and appeared beside Feng Yao. Hiss. She gasped as she looked at the power of magic in front of her. This power is somewhat abnormal. Is it the power brought by your original cultivation sedimentation, murmured the phoenix. You should know that Feng Yao reached the mid-level mage level 3 years ago, and it is normal for him to release magic with such power now. The wind, fire, and thunder whirlwind slowly dissipated on a ruins with the resistance of the air. This magic has actually driven the power of nature. Feng Huang looked at the disappearing magic in the distance and was somewhat surprised. You should know that the power of magic to drive nature requires a super level to be realized, known as supernatural power, but he surprisingly achieved even the first level magic. Give your magic a name, said the phoenix. Name. The new series is derived from you, so the name naturally needs to be determined by you. I don't seem to have put in much effort either. If it weren't for you, I would have exploded and died in the collision between the magic series. Feng Huang remained silent, staring into Fengyao's body to observe the new magic. I can feel that there are still many untapped abilities in this magic series. Just now, the space silver spin in my hands became a physical entity, so let's call it the manifestation series. Even the Wanxiang series works, said Feng Yao. The manifestation system embodies all kinds of phenomena evolve into all things in the world, good and good. Feng Huang couldn't help but sigh. Between heaven and earth, there are countless forms. Funny, end of this chapter. Chapter 9, Teachers are not impossible. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9, Teachers are not impossible. The wind line did not penetrate deep into the deserted city, but only turned around on the periphery. It is rumored that this place has been abandoned for nearly 10 years, and there are probably at least 3 leader-level demons inside. Feng Yao wandered around the wasteland, killed some giant lizard skulls at random, took their essence, and took them to the Hunters Club to exchange some money. Nowadays, Feng Yao started from scratch and never had any wealth on his body, but now it's different. Demons have valuable things on their bodies, and they can easily sell them without starving to death on the streets. Leaving the imperial capital, where are you going next? Feng Huang did not stop her when she learned that she was leaving the imperial capital and the Feng family. She must be the first person in this world to understand him, and if she were to encounter such a situation, she would also leave this land of right and wrong. Go to Bo City and seek the resurrection magic for you, Feng Yao whispered at the ticket office at the station. Resurrection magic. Feng Huang was surprised and didn't expect him to fulfill that sentence so quickly. Where is Bo City? Isn't the resurrection technique located at the Parthenon temple in Greece? Feng Huang was surprised and then puzzled. Although Bo City does not have the resurrection magic, it has the only goddess in the future world, the Parthenon, and people who can change the entire world. He may have had the same experience as you, but he is a person who would rather be enemies with the world than protect the one he wants to protect. Feng Yao is talking about Mo Fan. Little Bo City produces talents, and every person who comes out of it is a person who can influence the world according to the timeline. He had investigated Bo City 3 years ago, and it was the timeline that the original work passed through. Therefore, he waited for 3 years, but due to frequent changes, he eventually went to that place. In this way the gears of fate begin to turn. Feng Yao is the butterfly flying high into the sky soon. Feng Yao boarded the train to Bo City. On the train, Feng Yao turned the ring in his hand and stared at the bright red liquid flowing on the crack of the ring, lost in thought. Ancestor, what is inside your ring? Feng Yao asked. Do you want to know? Feng Huang spoke with her spirit. Feng Yao nodded and stared at the ring on his finger. He can vaguely feel the connection with himself, perhaps because he built a bridge with his own blood. You can come in and take a look. What? Feng Yao couldn't understand how to get in. Divine consciousness penetrates into the ring, just like usual cultivation, like entering the spiritual world, said Feng Huang. Listening to this method seems to associate it with many stories. 3 minutes later, Feng Yao entered a state, as if practicing, and his divine consciousness entered an unknown world. What appeared before Feng Yao was the palace-like ancient building above the clouds in the sky. Looking at it, one can see that there are more than 3 layers, and the entire outline of the palace seems to be floating in the sky as if divine power has been applied. Feng Yao lowered his head and looked down again, realizing that this place was not on the ground, but standing on a cloud mountain overlapping one layer. The scenery here is like an illusion, the true or false is unknown. Standing on the towering cloud mountains, one can see a bright red liquid flowing below the clouds, which is slightly different from the ring on Feng Yao's hand. Feng Yao looked at this magnificent color in surprise. At this moment, the fairy-like phoenix transformed into a white robe and appeared beside Feng Yao. Is this how it used to be here? Feng Yao said. Do you know the mysteries of space system? Feng Huang didn't rush to answer his question. Feng Huang mentioned this, and Feng Yao had to showcase the knowledge and heritage of his past life. 1 dust, one world, one leaf, one Bodhi, one drop in the ocean, one dust in the universe. Some people cover the sky with a leaf, while others create the world with dust. The legendary world is nothing more than dust in the universe. There are people outside of us, and there is heaven outside of us, said Feng Yao. Not bad, the essence of space is that there is heaven beyond heaven. Feng Huang was surprised and didn't expect Feng Yao to know these things. This is a product created by a spatial forbidden curse. However, we cannot store live creatures for now, Feng Huang added. Forbidden curse. Feng Yao didn't seem surprised, but he was curious about what kind of realm it was. All supernatural powers that are prohibited from being used by people are called forbidden curses. How strong is the forbidden curse? Feng Yao asked. How strong is it? Feng Huang was stunned for a moment. It can destroy heaven and earth, said the phoenix. Feng Yao shook his head and looked towards the palace above the clouds in the distance. I thought to myself, the sky in this world seems to be called the heavenly sky realm by people, and I haven't even started exploring the universe. It's ultimately magic that limits people's thinking. This ring must have been given to you by someone very important, right? Feng Yao asked. Since this thing is not her own, who can give up this treasure? He gave it to me, Feng Huang recalled the past. He. Feng Yao looked at Feng Huang and accidentally saw a tear streaking across her beautiful face, fleeting. He was killed by the holy city, holy city. This surprised Feng Yao a bit. They forced me into the abyss, but I could only hide behind them. Phoenix's eyes were full of sadness, and the next second, sadness turned into anger. A thought of revenge flashed through my heart. Feng Yao, I saw his figure on you. Would you be willing to worship me as your teacher? Is it so sudden? Feng Yao seemed unprepared. You are my ancestor. Can I worship you as my teacher? Feng Yao couldn't understand. Why not? As long as you worship me as your teacher, I will teach you all of my lifelong inheritance. Feng Huang seemed to be looking forward to his choice. The inheritance of a forbidden curse is indeed very tempting. Feng Yao hesitated for a moment before saying, You make me think of someone. Who is he? Phoenix asked. He doesn't belong to this world, but I have experienced stories similar to him. The first thing that Feng Yao thought of was a book he had read in his past life, Do Patsangqiong. Okay, I'll worship you as my teacher. Feng Yao made a decision in his heart. Feng Yao, who was originally a serious disciple, murmured to himself later, even a teacher is not impossible. Feng Yao quickly shut up and, for some reason, expressed her thoughts, but she didn't know if she had heard them. Well, I'll take you to a place. Feng Huang stroked her hair in her ear. Feng Yao followed behind her. The next second, she rises into the air, stepping on the void with jade-like feet. In the void beneath her feet, flawless white clouds appeared one after another. Feng Yao tentatively walked up to the clouds. Follow her step by step, heading towards the direction of the palace by the sky. Teacher, where is the palace above? Feng Yao asked. That is the heritage of my Feng family, and it is also the inheritance that the Feng family has lost. Feng Yao was a bit puzzled by what she said. Quickly, the two of them walked in front of the palace gate one after the other. The majestic palace is like a mountain range, oppressing the wind and making it difficult to breathe. What exactly is inside this? Feng Yao felt a deep doubt in his heart. Feng Huang glanced at him, then waved her jade hand towards Feng Yao. The next second, a white transparent cover appeared on his body. At the moment the hood appeared, all the pressure on Feng Yao's body and mind dissipated. The phoenix reached out to the gate of the palace. The seemingly heavy gate of the 10,000 mountains was gently pushed open by the phoenix with her hand. A blazing wind blew over my face, and within the palace was a huge palace, magnificent and luxurious. Wow! Feng Yao looked up and opened his mouth in surprise. The pressure here is not something you can handle, so I'll tell you here, said Feng Huang. Feng Yao nodded. As she brushed her sleeves, a phantom of the palace appeared before Feng Yao's eyes. This is divided into 3 levels, each with extremely strong spatial restrictions. In this world, magic is paramount, and magic tools are the only weapons widely used in the hands of wizards. With magic tools, humans have an extra chance of winning against demons. And this first layer is the place where magic tools are made, with a wide variety of magic tools, unlike today where only a few types of magic tools are needed. This starts from 300 years ago. 300 years ago, the Wind Clan was a powerful clan that monopolized all the magic tools industry in the world, but was fragmented by villains. That little man colluded with the so-called God's Peat, the angels, and they tried every means to obtain the refining method of the vast magic tools. I killed their angel king, and at all costs, they wanted to destroy my wind family. They summoned the power of the dark plane. The so-called light, behind the scenes, uses forbidden techniques and the power to bring disaster to people. He said, the back of light is darkness, and he has the right to send me into darkness. I think they're just wolves in sheep's clothing. The prosperous Feng family was almost destroyed by him, and many methods of refining magic tools disappeared in that battle, while most of them were controlled by those people. And he and I were repeatedly pushed into the abyss by these people. I'm glad I met you, but he. The phoenix gradually became hoarse in the midst of constant anger. After listening to this story, Feng Yao looked at Feng Huang with some sympathy. I also learned about the unknown story of the Feng family. This second layer is the secret recipe for refining various magical tools. As Feng Huang waved her hand, the phantom in front of her also changed, revealing a space that she had never seen on the second floor. The secret recipe for refining is sealed in every cabinet. Feng Huang pointed to the cabinets arranged in a square pattern. The vast space is like a maze, and the densely packed cabinets are dazzling with wind. Every secret recipe has extremely strong prohibitions, and only by reaching a certain level of strength can one break through the prohibitions. True refining magic tools require extremely strong spiritual power. A good magic tool not only requires materials, but also soul infusion. Once a magical tool exceeds its own refining ability, it will lose its lifespan and may even be offered as a sacrifice directly to the refined tool. The second layer not only has the secret recipe for refining magic tools, but also many long-lost forbidden spells. When you become strong enough, the things here will be your strongest backing, said the phoenix. The third layer consists of various heavenly and earthly treasures, which can enhance cultivation. There is everything you can find, but I don't want you to be promoted by pulling out seedlings, and the accumulated cultivation is not practical. Feng Yao nodded and understood the arrival of the sprouts to promote growth. He had to walk his own path, so he had to take each step at a time. Since you worship me as your teacher, you can't go out empty-handed. As Feng Huang spoke, a jade box the size of a palm appeared in her hand. The box is very exquisite. It is a whole piece of jade dug out from the middle, with no flaws in the jade, making it look extremely luxurious. This is a top-quality fire-type spirit seed named Comet Yen, said Feng Huang as she opened the box. The reason why he is called a comet is because it came from outside the realm and fell into the human world like a comet. Its original quality was not a spiritual species, but it had suffered devastating damage and degenerated into a spiritual species. It may be the only spiritual flame in the world with a domain, reaching a heavenly level flame during its heyday, with its strongest strike comparable to half a forbidden spell, explained the phoenix. So strong. Feng Yao couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that this meteor-like flame was a spiritual seed. Your Wanxiang system is constantly changing, and it can be transformed into one of its abilities. Flame has strong plasticity, and it can also help you refine better magic tools, said Feng Huang. Then Feng Huang took out another dagger. This is a complete forbidden curse level shadow magic tool, made from real dragon teeth. I will give it to you, but you cannot expose it until you reach the critical moment of 50,000 yuan, otherwise your situation will be very dangerous. I know, I don't want to be the target of public criticism, said Feng Yao. After binding with it, there will be usage methods. For some reasons, this chapter has been revised, and I feel it would be better to write it this way. End of this chapter. Chapter 10, Southern Small Towns. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10, Southern Small Towns. After Feng Huang explained some things, Feng Yao's spirit and body left the small world of the ring. The train heading to Bo City is also approaching its destination. Attention passengers, we are about to arrive at Buching Station. Please pack your personal belongings and prepare to disembark. Through the window, you can see the magnificent mountains in the distance, as well as the buildings in the Expo City Center. Although this is only a third or fourth tier city, although the Sparrow is small and dirty, it has everything. After getting off the car, Feng Yao followed the tall buildings in the city center, and there was only that iconic building in the entire city. How can you come to Bucheng without taking a trip to Xiefeng Mountain? I heard that there are magic wolves haunting there. What can a mere demon wolf do to me? I am now a beginner level 2 mage. Feng Yao accidentally heard the conversation between the two, but shook his head and left. Is this what you called Bo City? Feng Huang's voice came in. Feng Yao shuttled through the streets and alleys, hearing the soft voice of Feng Huang. Bo City doesn't create myths, don't worry for now. Feng Yao's footsteps stopped at the roadside by the alley, looking at the sparse vehicles on the road. He quickly waved to the distant vehicles. In no time, a car stopped in front of Feng Yao, but it seemed to be a pickup truck used for transporting goods. Before Feng Yao could speak, the driver poked his head out and asked. Where are you going, young man? I'll take you there. The driver is a middle-aged man with a face full of vicissitudes, and it seems that he also travels around to pick up goods and work for a living. Okay. Feng Yao responded and got into the car. Young man, is this your first time coming to Bucheng? Asked the middle-aged uncle. Uncle, how did you tell that? Feng Yao was somewhat surprised, as he could tell at a glance that he was from outside. It's usually difficult to get a taxi here, but luckily I passed by today, otherwise you would have to contact someone else, said the middle-aged driver. Where are you going? I'll take you there. After thinking for a moment, Feng Yao didn't know where to go as the place was unfamiliar to him. Uncle, what are you doing here? Feng Yao asked. I just finished delivering the goods and I'm ready to go home, said the middle-aged man with a silly smile. Just leave me near your house and I won't trouble you, said Feng Yao. How can this work? He looked at Feng Yao and then became less reserved. Okay, I won't take your money anymore. Feng Yao observed the inside of the car, which was very simple, with several shallow scratches on the window. The scenery outside the window is not only the attic of the house, but also the snow-capped mountain scenery far away in the sky. Even though it is summer now, the distant mountains are still covered in white snow, indicating their high altitude. Ringing bell. The middle-aged man's phone rang. Hello. Who is it? Mo Jiaxing, where are you now? There is a batch of goods that you need to deliver. The voice of the phone was louder, and Feng Yao also heard the voice on the phone. Mo Jiaxing. Feng Yao was surprised in his heart and widened his eyes as he looked at the driver driving next to him. Didn't I finish delivering all my work? What? Lao Mo, aren't you in need of money recently? I happen to help you with more tasks, the voice on the other end of the phone came. Oh good, Mo Jiaxing hesitated for a moment and agreed. Hang up the phone and then look at Feng Yao sitting in the passenger seat. That, uncle. Do you have a son named Mo Fan? Feng Yao asked with some excitement in his heart. It's really hard to find a place to break through the iron shoes. I met the characters in the original work so quickly. Hey. Do you know my son? Mo Jiaxing said. To be honest, my purpose in coming to Bucheng is to meet a netizen who said his name is Mo Fan. He once mentioned you unintentionally during a chat, Feng Yao lied repeatedly. Netizens. It's still the flowers that you young people play with. Let me take you to find my son first, said Mo Jiaxing with a smile. Okay, quickly. Mo Jiaxing's car stopped in front of a bungalow, and the two of them got off. Mo Jiaxing warmly invited Feng Yao to visit his house. Since my own son knows him, I don't consider him an outsider. Mo Fan. Your netizens have come to see you, don't read books for now, Mo Jiaxing shouted into the open bedroom. As soon as the words fell, a very ordinary young man walked out of the bedroom. Dad, have you come back? The young man looked at Feng Yao beside Mo Jiaxing in confusion, ignoring him. Since you know me, don't disturb me. There's still a load of goods waiting for me to pick up. Mo Jiaxing turned around and left, leaving only Mo Fan and Feng Yao in the room. Who are you? Why does my dad say we know each other? Do we know each other? Mo Fan stared at Feng Yao and asked. Feng Yao extended his right hand as a gesture of goodwill and said, Hello, this is Feng Yao when we first meet. I don't know, please go back. Mo Fan clearly didn't have a good impression of him, who suddenly appeared. He even lied to his father that he knew him. If you don't know each other, just get to know each other, Feng Yao said, not expecting him to reject him so mercilessly. I'm not interested. Mo Fan turned around and sat down from the cabinet, taking a bottle of beverage. Then he sat on the nearby sofa and started drinking on his own. Feng Yao looked around and saw that the room where Mo Fan walked out was filled with books. Are you preparing for the middle school entrance exam? Feng Yao said. Mo Fan replied coldly. Looking at the stranger in front of us, there really isn't much to talk about. Feng Yao also appeared awkward. He meant to dare to go out on his own, and he still stubbornly relied on this place. Do you have anything else to do? Mo Fan asked, breaking the awkwardness. Feng Yao remained silent for a while, and his mind had already gone through the plot. Can you take me to the back mountain of Lanshui Middle School? Feng Yao said. Back mountain. What are you going there for? Mo Fan frowned and looked at Feng Yao when he heard that back mountain of Lanshui Middle School had stopped. My second grandfather, were there to watch the door. I called my dad a while ago, but he neglected his words at work, which led me to visit him, Feng Yao explained by fabricating a lie intermittently. Upon hearing this, Mo Fan's expression became even more complex, and after a while, he showed a very sympathetic expression. Did you win over the old man's family? But before he passed away, he told me to bury him in the back mountain without any relatives or reasons, murmured Mo Fan. That's not right. The old man named Ying, but he just said his surname was Feng. Mo Fan was lost in thought. Do you know where my second grandfather is? Feng Yao's acting skills were so full that he even had a very vivid expression, almost being portrayed himself. Your grandfather's surname is Ying? Mo Fan asked. Feng Yao's eyes lit up and he looked at Mo Fan. Do you know where he is? He passed away a month ago. We mourn deeply, Mo Fan said in a low voice. Has he passed away? Feng Yao's eyes were slightly dull, with a state of wanting to cry without tears. I thought to myself, it seems that this Mo Fan is Mo Fan from another world. However, he really wanted to explore the matter of winning over the old man. As one of the major pitfalls in the original work, how could he not be curious? There must be some secret behind the back mountain of Lanshui Middle School. The secret is likely to be at the burial place of Old Man Ying. End of this chapter.